We are live. Thank you guys for joining us for another episode of the Pursuit of Purpose. What are we doing? Live series of podcasts. I'm Rob.
I'm Chuck.
And today, means that it is New Year's Eve.
Yes.
This is our New Year's show. So we're going to be talking about a lot of the traditional things that people do getting ready for a new year.
Certainly.
Some of them are ridiculous. Speaking of the ridiculous, if you were in gym membership sales right now is when you're cashing your big checks. You're getting ready.
This is what they call it, the black month, where you make all your money for the year, like Toys R Us used to do between October and Christmas.
Right.
This is your time. Bank, baby.
So if you're joining us live, thank you for being a part of our audience. We are back available live now on Facebook. They've let us out of jail, it looks like. So to our Facebook audience, thank you guys for joining us. TikTok, thank you guys for joining us. If any of you decide that you'd like to join us in the discussion on any platform, just let us know. Drop a message in the comments and we'll bring you in. We're glad to do that. But today, like I said, we're talking about New Year's, and the first thing I want to address is the concept of New Year's resolutions.
Okay.
Right? This is something that we've all done.
Yes.
And I honestly don't know anybody who's ever set a New Year's resolution and really stuck with it.
Right. I can honestly say that as well, including myself. But I think efforts were made. I think, momentum started, but boy, so our resolutions should they even be considered that way? Is that too much for people? I don't know.
Well, I think the concept's bad in this regard. I think that when we set ourselves up with a quote unquote New Year's resolution, we're doing something in a temporary mindset.
Okay.
We have framed it as such that it will be at most a year. So we give ourselves an out before we even begin.
Right.
And then our subconscious mind is so powerful and our brain is so powerful that it's a machine of efficiency. It wants to get from point A to point B as quickly and effectively as possible.
Yes.
So if it thinks that our goal is to get out of it anyway, then the only natural conclusion is to get us out of it fast.
Right.
To eliminate the problem.
Right.
And that resolution, it becomes a problem. So it's an inconvenience. So in my mind, I think that that's one of our biggest problems. Like, we set our resolutions as a New Year's resolution, and our mind thinks that we have bracketed that thing as though it has a beginning and an end within that year.
Right.
So what if we change that concept ever so slightly?
Okay.
And instead of having a New Year's resolution, what if we had a vision for our life that we commit to constantly writing, rewriting, and living? And the new year, the day of the new year, the time of the new year is a wonderful time to start that practice.
Certainly.
Right now is a great time to start it. And a lot of people, we throw it in our business and in a lot of corporate world, businesses, they throw the word vision around a lot. They throw the word mission statement or vision statement around a lot.
Right.
And a lot of us, and especially, even me, before I got to what we're doing now, I didn't really understand it.
I did not.
What is a vision? What is a mission? And now I know, I have a better understanding.
Right.
So a vision is where you're going.
Yes.
It's the direction you're focused in. It's the marching orders that you're operating by.
Right.
It's your direction. It's your focus. But the mission is the day-to-day activity that you're doing to get there.
Right.
It's the process, right?
Right.
So in order to have a mission, you must have a vision.
You cannot have one without the other.
If you want to be effective.
That's right.
And I want to challenge our audience, and I hope you guys will join me in this, that if we're smart, and I think most of us are, if we're smart, we'll have a vision for ourselves. We will treat ourselves with as much regard and value as any company treats itself.
Yes.
And I don't mean that you have to be hokey and put a poster on the wall that says integrity or, teamwork or whatever it is. But
you can decorate your bedroom like a front office.
Right. Well, the challenge I have is that, decorate your mind, put this in your heart.
Yes.
Hang it on the walls of your heart where you are living by it daily.
Right.
So then the question is, so we know a vision is where we're going.
Okay.
A mission is what we're doing to get there. But how in the world does a person write their vision?
Man.
And that's one of the things, like, when I was a kid, I grew up in church.
Mm-hmm.
My mom and dad forced us to go to church every time the doors were open.
So you had a drug problem as a kid.
I was drug in and drug out. That's right. And if I didn't act right in church, I was drug out and drug back in.
That's re-educated.
That's right. That's right.
Return.
I was taught, my pastor, I consider him to be one of my greatest mentors growing up. And he used to say that children and boats have one very particular thing in common.
Mm.
They are both most effectively steered from the rear.
From the rear.
And the smaller boats, you have to use a paddle.
Yes.
Just like a child.
Just like a child. True story. There were a row of hedges outside of my childhood church. And I wasn't aware until I walked up by accident. We parked and we're walking in, and I see a dad hovering over his daughter, who I know to be, let's just say, active. She's an active kid. And he is putting a switch into a little hole in those hedges. And I'm like, holy cow, that's his hiding place. That's his holster. That's right. Knowing with full anticipation, they're going to be coming out at some time. So sometime later, we're out there, we're messing around the church, everything. And I was messing with her, and I go, hey, I know your daddy's hiding place. She goes, what are you talking about? And I reached in and I pulled that switch, and the other kids were just enjoying it. I'm like, now that's a dad right there.
So the mostly useful dad commented and said, yeah, maybe we shouldn't be promoting corporal punishment. Child abuse isn't funny or cool. Well, I mean, that's a matter of perspective. I don't judge anybody for what they believe or how they feel. I experienced corporal punishment growing up. I don't feel like I was a victim of it. I do believe, especially now, that it helped me learn discipline in an effective way. Mm-hmm. And I do believe that it's not for everyone, and it's not for every parent. And I have no judgment towards anyone that may not use that for their kids.
Right.
And I challenge all parents. Mm-hmm. You've got to find what's most effective for you and your kids.
And I'll add, as a person that does a lot of family counseling, and people bring in, they talk about their kids and such, and they ask me, and thank you for your comment, they asked me, when do I stop spanking my kid? And I said, spanking is really best when a child doesn't really understand language. They don't understand what a timeout is. They don't understand that I'm addressing. When I say stop that, they only hear my tone. They don't know what I'm saying. So a little pop on the rump helps them identify the pain association with the inappropriate behavior. Now, as they get older and they can talk to me, well, I don't need to do that anymore. They understand exactly what I'm saying. And so that was my rule of thumb as a parent. It tapered off as their learnability grew. And that was good, because it sure saved a lot of trouble on my part, because they understood what they were about to be deprived of, other than comfort.
Well, Mostly Useful Dad says that spanking should never be, he says spanking should never happen. And then he says, yeah, they're afraid of you when they get older. Well, I can say this. I can only speak from my experience. I can't speak to yours. I have no idea what you went through. I didn't have a fear, like an unsettled, unsafe fear of my parents. And I experienced quite a bit of corporal punishment. Mm-hmm. I actually felt safe with them. Mm-hmm. I actually felt like I know what he can and will do to protect me from myself. I can only imagine what he can and will do to protect me from the outside world, should that need arise.
And I guarantee you there were a lot more hugs and a lot more lessons from those exact same hands that lit me up. And they held my hand when we were walking across parking lots. He showed me how to hold things like fishing rods and tools and things like that. So those same hands did a lot more of love and comfort than they did discipline, but they were disciplined when it had to be. And I guarantee you this, as I got older, when I got older into maybe my preteen to teen years, I didn't cause a lot of trouble. I'm going to tell you why. Because of those early days. That lesson stuck and it was effective. So if you had a different experience, well, that's maybe something you can work out, with your own way with your own children. I just know that for most folks especially the folks we interview, we do a lot of interviews. If you catch out some of our other platforms, most every person that comes in here had some level of spanking, some level of corporal punishment when they were younger, and every one of them that I recall, Rob, referenced those as helpful things in their life.
So we're kind of getting sidetracked on something that really wasn't intended to be part of the show today.
Yeah.
So let's move forward. I mean, this show is intended to be about the new year and new beginnings. So I want to stay focused on that, and I want to talk about the topic of setting a vision for yourself, because it's not an easy thing. It's not something we teach our kids. It's not something that we automatically know. It's not something that we talk about. Even as parents, a lot of times we don't do that. So I myself have failed in that regard. I didn't teach my kids, a lot of them when they were younger, about setting up a vision for their life and a mission and learning how to achieve goals in that way. So one of the most effective ways that I have found is, and just to give you a little side note on this, we actually teach classes on leadership. We teach classes on mentoring, and we teach classes on culture building inside of companies, and with leadership especially, but even across the board with all of them. One of the most effective way that I have found to help people understand how to write their vision is to kill them. And I know that sounds a little bit scary, a little crazy, but what I do is I take them through an imaginary process, and I take them to their funeral. So, and then I have them in their mind, in their imagination, go through the process of writing their eulogy. So what I challenge you to do is, if you want to write yourself a vision, take yourself to your own funeral. This is not morbid. It's not something that is dark or scary or anything like that. We're all headed there. We're all, no matter what, some of us sooner than others, we're going to die.
Yes.
And whatever is done in our lives is going to be summarized in about 30 minutes to 45 minutes of people standing in front of an audience or whatever. And that's it. That 30 or 45-minute speech is going to summarize the greatest points that they know of about our life. So I would challenge each and every one of you, eulogize yourself, and don't just do it once. Make it a practice. Set yourself an interval where you adopt this as a part of your life, and your vision will materialize out of this eulogy naturally. And it'll be awkward at first, but don't let that stop you. Just start writing down whatever random things you can think of when you start imagining that it's you giving your eulogy. You are standing up in front of a group of people. Your coffin is right there, and your body, your lifeless husk, is laying in that box. And there you are, going to give a summary about the best way that you lived your life, about the things that you accomplished, about the legacy that you created and left behind. And whatever that does, whatever that is, whatever that says, that is going to guide you into your vision. And once you have the vision, the next question is how? How am I going to start in that direction? How am I going to accomplish these tasks? And believe it or not, the how becomes easy once you have the focus of a vision. So I wanted to give that to you guys this morning. It's something that has it actually changed my life. And I learned about the process through listening and reading books, and it's really been a help to me. It never ends, so don't expect it to be a one and done kind of thing, but it will help you direct your legacy. Okay, we've got some comments.
Good.
Let's see, Maga Tanzi. Magaton Z. Okay, I see. He said, go stand on your age and look, see how much is gone already.
Wow.
And then Mostly Useful Dad said, I did it once and it felt awful. My child didn't feel any. Oh, you're talking about spankings.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let's see. All right. So have any of you out there ever made a practice of writing a vision for yourself, a vision statement? We a lot of times talk about goals for a new year, but this is more of the focus and direction for your life. And here at Pursuit of Purpose, I like to ask people this question. You know, we've got this slogan, the Pursuit of Purpose. I ask people, what's most important? Is the purpose important or most important, or is the pursuit of that purpose what's most important? And I'm going to suggest to you that, well, I mean, what do you think, Chuck?
Oh, I think it's the pursuit.
Absolutely.
That's where the development happens. It is purpose is fine, you know, because that gives me direction and what have you. And one of the things that we often encourage people to include in that eulogy, which is leading me to defining pursuit, is what are the values you want to be known for? And how will you then develop those values and then apply those values? And so to me, that's the pursuit. The pursuit is the part of the application of all those most important things. And that's where your difference is made.
So, and that's why this brings us to the second point of this little thing here. I encourage people to focus on purpose rather than goals.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Goals are wonderful, but the purpose is where your vision is.
Yes.
And that's how your pursuit will actually come into being. And that pursuit is where your legacy is built. That's how people will remember you. That's how you'll be eulogized.
Right. And goals, while you're reading there, goals are a part of the pursuit. Kind of like, in our intro today, we talked about how a New Year's resolution has basically relatively speaking, a 1 year timeline. For the next year, this is what I'm going to do. In and of itself, not a bad thing, just not a total thing. I set 2-week goals. I call it the rule of 15. I have things I want to do for 15 days. Then I have things I want to do for 15 weeks. And they're in my little calendar. I write them down. I have things I want to accomplish week to week. If I don't get to everything, okay, well, they just roll over and I just keep adding them. At some point, I can look back with a level of measurement. And I enjoy measurement because I enjoy reward. I think reward is a very important part of that. So if you are pursuing and you're setting little goals within those pursuits, not only let those, fill a better vision, don't just go haphazardly. But the second thing is have something in place to reward yourself, because you're going to reach goals. It's going to happen. If you get up today and you decide things should be different tomorrow, you're already setting some version of a goal. We're here today to discuss how to basically have not only the complete package, but how to get there.
And what Chuck's talking about is milestone celebrations. So as you eulogize yourself and learn how to craft a vision statement for yourself, when you begin to write your mission part, there will be milestones in that mission. These would be also considered the more like goals, like we talk about. Typically people talk about goals, and those goals, those milestones, whether they be early or late, whether they be large or small, they are points of celebration. They are moments in time where you deservedly so stop and say, I am grateful that I got here, that I did that. So we've got some really fun comments coming in. Ryan says, looks like Christians broke back mountain. That's so sweet. I've never seen that. I'm sure it's a fun movie for people like you, but I've never seen it, so I wouldn't know.
No,
but
I've never seen it either.
I don't know.
Oh man, but hey, thanks for noticing.
But whatever. So, but anyway, so that's.
I wore blues to make my eyes pop today. I hope you're enjoying them, friend.
So anyway, so the goal of anything in life and why we go to work and why we do the things that we do. We've got some other comments. No comment says, I'm looking forward to a matriarchal society. Okay. The mostly useful dad says, confused. You shared how you, I lost it. You shared how you felt when being hit, but won't share how you felt when hitting your kid. Well, I'm going to say this, and people like to use that word as it seems like a manipulation to me. When I've corrected my children, and it's been rare, I haven't had to use corporal punishment with my kids. I know we're going back down this rabbit hole. I haven't had to use it with my kids very much at all. Not that I'm any better than anybody else. I've just been very blessed. And when I did, I can't remember a time where I just did it in anger. And I think that's part of the problem where people cross over a line where it becomes a fearful thing for the kid. When a child is corrected using a corporal style punishment in love with control when the parent remains in control of their emotional state, that vibration is felt in the child. Mm-hmm. They know that the parent loves them, and that doesn't disrupt their security and safety. So what do you mean? So mostly useful dad, this is a great discussion, and I'd love to get it going on a different show. It's not going to benefit everybody that are joining us today to talk about the year and setting vision and mission and purposeful future. I appreciate your position on this, and that's okay. I got no judgment for you. You raise your kids the way you raise them, and I'll raise mine the way I raise them. And I don't throw stones.
So I think the reason that this subject of mission and vision and mission resonates with a lot of people is because at some point in their personal development, going back to the childhood, which we briefly referenced, they realize, if you think of it like walking down a fairly narrow hallway, I can ping off the walls and I could do damage and I can knock off all the pretty pictures, or I could learn to walk a straight path and not do that and actually get to my destination, whether it's the door at the end of the hall. And I know that's an analogy, but that's what I wanted for my kids. I wanted them to understand the conversation. Let's say they were going to join a team, I don't know, a sport. And so I might ask them, I said, so what do you look forward to? What's your reason for joining this team? What are you doing here, son? He said, well, I just want to play basketball. I go, that's it? You just want to put a ball in a ring? Well, no. And then he starts talking about he wants to spend time with his friends. He wants to see, if he could get better at it. I go, there you go. Now we're getting somewhere. Well, I think those conversations came out of some of those parental disciplines when he was younger, because then he started having a vision for what he wanted this sport experience to be like. Then he would understand the mission. Now we're going to do drills. Now we're going to look forward to things and what have you. And then learn how to talk to a teammate, all the little goals that could be set along the way to get to the greater vision. So do I think discipline's a part of that? Absolutely. But that's trying to bring our conversation full circle. The adult conversations or adult-ish conversations of vision and mission was never going to happen without the love of discipline.
So what is the purpose of having a mission and a vision? What's the goal? What comes from having a vision and a mission statement for a person's life? What are we creating? What is the hope behind doing that? It's one word, and it's a very American sounding word. We use it a lot, and it's a part of the backbone of our society and our purpose for existence in this nation. And that word is that concept is freedom. The entire purpose of crafting a vision statement and then a mission statement to support that vision is to establish for yourself a direction of freedom from debt, freedom from someone else's time constraints, mm-hmm. freedom from maybe it's manual labor, freedom from whatever it is that is the less pleasant parts of what you're going through or what you're dealing with. But freedom is what we create. when we build or craft a vision statement and then the mission that goes with it.
Mm-hmm.
Our purpose is freedom. So
I like that.
So one of the other challenges that goes along with this is when you are eulogizing yourself to assist yourself in crafting this vision statement, I want to challenge you also to not think small. One of the biggest problems that we have is that we limit ourselves by the limitations of our past. We judge how we're going to perform in the future based on what we think we know of how small we are because of what we've done before.
So we predict the restrictions.
That's right. And Cody says some people don't set goals because of the disappointment. That's exactly what I was just saying, because of the disappointment that follows
from
when failing to meet the goal.
That's
and that's a great point, Cody. So I'm going to bring this up like that's the whole purpose behind crafting a vision statement for your life rather than just focusing on simple goals. When you craft a vision statement and you start building a mission statement to go with it, then what happens is you go in a direction, you build a focus in a direction, and sometimes the course alters, but it's not a failure.
Yeah,
it's a learning process. That's the cool thing about a vision is it's a direction to go in. It's not an opportunity for failure. It is only an opportunity to learn and build and become better.
Yes. Very, very future tense, not past tense.
Well, it's very now and future
now
tense.
The future. That's right.
So does that make sense to you, Cody? Are you still with us?
While we're waiting, a lot of folks, Rob, they come into our appointments, our counseling and coaching appointments, and initially, because I guess maybe they're not thinking differently, haven't been challenged yet, they're trying to resolve something from their history, whether it's recent or remote, and thinking that that's going to liberate their mind. And it may to some degree, but it won't be sustaining without learning to live in the present and then having a vision for the future. There's no other way. Otherwise, they're still going to be stuck in the past. They won't let it go if they don't have something to move toward. And sometimes you do have to go back and retro a little bit for learning purposes. Say, okay, how did that happen? How did I get there? Where were my failings and what can I learn? And why would I want to learn for the future? That's the whole point of this cast today.
So when we do this, every time, like Chuck earlier mentioned, he alluded to about milestone celebrations. You don't have to wait on a new year to celebrate a new beginning.
Right.
When you craft a vision and then you build a mission statement to support that vision, every day when you wake up, it's a new beginning. Yesterday's done, you learn from it. There's nothing but now and next.
Right.
That's it. Now and next. Everything else we get to learn from. We get to learn from it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the beauty of this process. It's not a failing New Year's resolution that we know we're likely to not stick to.
Right.
This is a matter of practice. What happens when we practice? We improve.
That's right. Rob and I do quite a bit of training. We're hired by clients of ours to stand in front of an audience of people who are important to them and guide them through things such as this. And even at the end of every one of those trainings, if it's possible in that moment, if not shortly thereafter, we take an inventory and we ask several questions such as what went well? And these are general questions. It may be a little more specific, like what'd you think about that part or whatever? What went well? What could have gone a little better? And do you have any ideas about how we can do it better? How could we do it differently? And that's growth. And we're trying to practice what we preach to these folks and to promote in their personal growth, because that's why they're there. I think, to be honest with you, to not only my best friend Rob, but also to you as an audience, I think that's why the business goes well, because people understand we do it too.
So Cody said some fascinating stuff there. He said, no matter the size of the victory, it's still a victory. for the said person. And that's true.
That is true.
And then he added, as long as they reach whatever their finish line is. Now I'm actually going to argue with you a little bit on this one, Cody.
Uh-oh.
So this is something we talk about, and I'm not arguing with you to be contradictory necessarily, but I want to add to that when you build a vision statement, there is no finish line. That's the beauty of a vision. When you look forward to the horizon, just if you take it to this physical realm, if you look forward to the horizon as far as you can look, and then you walk in that direction, what happens to the horizon? You never reach it.
Never reach it.
And that's the beauty of a vision.
Yeah.
You can't fail because there's no finish line. It's a pursuit. It's a pursuit of that purpose.
Right.
And that is the victory. When you finally realize that you're built for a purpose to pursue, and the purpose itself shifts and changes as you pursue it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no finish line, so you're never finished. We are challenged to constantly and never-endingly grow, learn, and pursue. And once we do that, we find fulfillment in our lives. We no longer have to stay in a mentality and a paradigm of victimhood. We actually become the writers, the crafters of our own story. And that is as beautiful of a story as there ever was.
That's right.
Let's see.
I personally believe that every one of us are endowed by our Creator, not just for what is written in our national documents, but also in what I espouse to, which is Scripture, which is there's a divine purpose in here. And my job is to facilitate that. That's the agreement. Okay. And I can't do that by being a victim. I can only do that by pursuing the horizon and to keep going, keep creating, keep evolving. That's my job. That's my calling, if you will, for the divine purpose that's already inside of here. And so I love the horizon analogy because that is I like the fact, and this takes some mental work, friends. So we're not asking you to get there in the moment. We're trying to encourage this. I like the fact that I'll never get there. And that's a hard concept. Now, there are places I can measure that I did get there for today. I have to rest. So there has to be an open and a close to each day. And I have to make sure that I did everything I could for the day, if you will, in the moments of the day. But the grand pursuit, which is that horizon, I'm glad I'll never get there.
Yeah, Cody refined his talk a little bit. He said what he was talking about was the little victories to celebrate, those milestones. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yes,
absolutely.
And good for you. More of that, please.
And Cody, every time you come on here, and I appreciate you being a regular member of our audience. I've known you for some years, and you are headed in a good direction, and I'm proud of you. You're doing a fine job. So I just want you to know that. I don't know if anybody else tells you that, but I can tell you that from confidence that you are growing, and I'm proud of you. So let's see. We've got a couple of people on here that, for a lack of a better way to call it, they're the kind of audience members. You can't really call them fans, but they are. They like to be contradictory.
Oh, okay.
And they like to hurl insults and say things to be provocative.
Okay. And
bless their hearts, it's likely that they suffer from perpetual victim mentality. So, I hope you have a wonderful 2026. No comment. And I hope you are blessed in all your endeavors. And I hope that everyone you come in contact with is blessed for knowing you. Let's see.
Can't hope for more than that.
Well, Cody, I ain't saying it's. I'm glad you appreciate it, but I'm not saying it just to get your thanks. I'm saying it because I mean it. That's genuine. I love seeing the pictures you post of your new family and all the little things you got going on, and I'm just proud of you. Keep going, man. Keep going.
Yeah.
Well, So what is the purpose other than freedom of crafting this vision and mission and pursuing our purpose? So the purpose is to maintain a sense of hope. One of the things that Cody alluded to in his comments earlier, and a couple of others that I've seen, is that when we fail, or when we think we failed at goals, we start to get discouraged to pursue more goals because we think about the failure. And I'm paraphrasing what you said, Cody. That's not a direct quote or anything like that. It seemed like the sentiment that you were communicating earlier. And part of this vision and mission process is to maintain a sense of hope, to maintain a process of never-ending growth, and then to build a true form of success for yourself and everyone you come in contact with. And that's what will change when you go through this process. And I can assure you it's worth it. It's what I mean. And I know, Cody, you've known me for some years. And if you'll look at the time that you've known me in my life, I went through a change. About 5 years ago, there was a dramatic shift in my life. And it was a paradigm shift of the way I think, the way I process who I am, what I'm doing, and why. And this is at the core of what changed in me. And I would encourage everybody to work through this. It's worth it. Chuck, have you anything to add?
Well, I mean, there's always something, I guess, to say, but that was brilliantly put. Is those moments of transformation, Rob alluded to his, I've had one in a similar time fashion. And those things, I hate to say, but it was inevitable that they needed to happen. They were must happens in my life, because if I didn't have that failure, I would have no reason to transform and repurpose, none whatsoever. I mean, because if I go up to someone who has never known those experiences, which we all know that that's super rare, if any, but if they're not ready to embrace new and better, then a lot of times this doesn't make sense. But if they get to a point to say, whatever it is, it's got to be better. It's got to be better than this, because there's too many consequences. I've hurt others, and in turn, I've hurt myself. It's not an option anymore. I want to help. I want to help people grow. I want to help people enjoy better tomorrows, to see it differently and to experience it differently. And I couldn't think of a better purpose than to do that. And if this is a platform for that right now, for whatever reason, it's come to us and we're using it. And if there are other platforms out there, whether it's a conversation on the street or whether it's something more organized like a schedule, okay, there it is. It doesn't matter. Once we're in that moment, it's the same product with the same intent.
Yes. Cody says everyone makes mistakes. Yes. Big things is what you learn from them and how you move forward. That's so true. And that's what happened to me. I mean, up until the transformation that I experienced, I was living extraordinarily small. While I might have generated some monetary success in my life, I might have generated some business success and different things, I was living small because I was operating with a victim's mindset in a lot of ways. And I was operating from a place of extreme immaturity and selfishness, and not the good kind.
Which can be motivating.
Yeah.
It can be motivating, but it guarantee it won't be fulfilling.
And I'm very fortunate that I have a core group around me, including my wife and Chuck and a few others that love me in spite of myself through the process. And I'm very grateful that those people are still with me and still around me and have been supportive. So Dragon says hidden religion, not saying that they are using religious language without using open language. Well, Dragon, I don't hide anything. I'm a Christian. Mm-hmm. And I'm not ashamed of it. And I'm not trying to force anybody to believe my way I don't judge anybody. We're talking about vision and mission and the pursuit of purpose, mm-hmm. and how it becomes personal, and how to write your own eulogy to discover your vision, to build your mission,
Right.
and find and pursue your purpose. That's all this is about today.
That's right.
There's no hidden message.
No.
There's nothing.
Yeah. And what are your values? We're espousing ours. What are your values? And what are the sources of those? We talked a little bit about parenting. Yes, we both grew up in a more of a church setting. Was it all ideal? Of course not. But were there things to extract from that gave me a sense of what's valuable? Absolutely. And if nothing else, the scripture that I reference nearly every day of my life in some form or fashion, that's where these values come from. And, so far, I have no argument with those. And if other folks want to have hangups with other more organized situations, I guess that's something you'll have to work out in your own way.
Yeah, Cody says the people that stick around through the rough patches are the real ones. That's a fact. Because it may be a bumpy road, but they stick around. Yeah. And Dragon says, so you are using religious wording. With Christians, there are always a hidden message. Well, I didn't hide anything. It was
I think we're being pretty overt, Dragon, but thank you.
Now, I'm going to say this, and this goes along with this topic we're talking about today. There's a universal law that is at play all the time in our lives. And it is irrespective of your belief system, whether you are Christian, atheist, Muslim, it doesn't matter what you practice. This law applies. And that is what you seek, you'll find.
Yes.
What you look for, it'll be revealed to you. You'll find it.
Right.
So if you're constantly believing that somebody else has nefarious motives, or if you're constantly suspicious of other people, or constantly looking for something negative that's hidden, you'll find it.
Yep.
It's really coming from you. That's a projection. Yeah. That has nothing to do with the outer world. Yeah. I can say that with great confidence because I did it. I actually... Part of my immaturity that I experienced in my younger life was I had a jaded outlook. I was suspicious of almost everyone. I had a really hard time accepting that other people actually could be in my best interest. And the truth was that I wasn't in my own best interest. I couldn't trust because I couldn't be trusted. And that was a problem. And Dragon, I would challenge you to be honest with yourself. If that's what you're seeing all around you is suspicion, then it's very likely you're someone to be suspect.
Right.
And I don't know you. I'm just talking about my own experience.
Yeah. And I share your history, Rob. When I was at my most recent but most significant breaking point, is because there was a growing itinerary of hidden things. There was a growing itinerary of suspect things that I was allowing to germinate and to grow. And that was on me. That nobody else did that. That wasn't a reaction to anything that happened to me in my childhood, no victimhood. That was Chuck pursuing poor things and was doing it with some level of obsession and compulsion that it was destroying things around me. And I couldn't see it until it hurt. It hurt bad enough, if you want to say that, until the pain of remaining the same becomes greater than the pain of change, one will not change. Well, I hope if you have the pain of change that you will embrace it and do something positive about it.
So Dragon says, I see reality. The reality of current times is males want to remove rights from women. How's that, Dragon? That's a fascinating thing. I don't really understand your point, but what I see happening is a bunch of weirdos trying to devalue women by saying that one can just decide arbitrarily to become one. That, to me, is about as demeaning and devaluing to womanhood as anything. I can't imagine anything more insulting.
Let me show how easy it is to be you. I'll become one.
I personally admire the female species, and I think they are beautiful, powerful, and wonderfully made. So
yes,
I can't agree with you on that one, Dragon. Yes. Have you any rebuttal for that?
I can tell you this just as just a point of reference. We have a current ongoing class with now what's become one of our most valued clients, and half the room is split like right down the middle, nearly male and female. And I appreciate not only the gender influences, but also just the history. These people are bringing their personal history. Some of it has similarities because we're from similar cultures around here, but some of it is not. And some of it does have the different points of view, which some are male, some are female, some are different ages. So we have different, what's the generation, the gen this, gen that. But it's beautiful. When all those folks get in the room, those universal laws that Rob's referencing, they apply.
You can't unapply them.
You can't unapply them. That's a fact. And so people want to play a gender difference game, go right ahead. But I'm telling you, in too many ways, it doesn't make a difference.
So Dragon says the Heritage Foundation, a Christian society that wants women again as property. Well, I'm going to tell you this. I don't know what you're talking about because nothing in Christian belief system places women as property. It puts them as far as value goes, equal. In roles, fair, but value, equal.
Right.
Neither is male or female valued higher than the other.
Right. Matter of fact, one of the best evolutions, as far as documented evolutions of mankind, is by the time we get to, and I want to reference our faith here, by the time we get to post-Christ, now we're in the latter part of what we would call, as Christians, the New Testament. You start seeing the participation of both men and women. They were voices in the church. They were property owners. They were generous in their own way. They were even respected. A lot of them were respected in their level of maturity and influence. And you could hear them referenced in a lot of the meetings and conversations and various other things. That was the full intent the entire time.
So Dragon says maybe learn some biology. I'm not sure what that reference has to do with this discussion, but I'm pretty familiar with the biology of male and female.
Yes. Thank goodness.
I mean, I'm not sure what you mean by that there, Dragon, but thank you for the input. And I want to say this, thank you to all of our audience, not just for your watching and being a part of it, but thank you for participating. Even those of you who are a little antagonistic and oppositional, that's okay. That's great.
Sure.
We welcome that. This is not a place where those kind of folks are shut down or ignored. Jonathan says, I missed the context. Jonathan, we're talking about the purpose of the show wasn't about all that we were just talking about. The purpose of the show was about visioneering, designing your own vision, building a mission statement to support it, and pursuing your purpose, as opposed to developing a New Year's resolution. Jonathan, that's what we were discussing. That was our topic for the show today, so that you understand the context. And then we've got a couple of guys on here, Dragon and one other one, that have been they've been kind of taking us on little side adventures about corporal punishment, and then now we've got Dragon wants to talk about gender and religion. So that's kind of the context, Jonathan, just to bring you up to speed. And if any of you, especially you, Dragon, if you'd like to join us live to talk a little bit about your positions and views, we'd gladly bring you on. I mean, if you want to do that, just say the word and I'll invite you in as a live co-host.
While he's considering that, to stay on to answer Jonathan's question and kind of catch you up a little bit, we are talking about the hope of a vision, that horizon that we're pursuing, Jonathan. And our intent for this particular cast, as well as several other past recordings, has been to either promote that or to interview people who at some point took hold of that and they recreated themselves and they put it into businesses, or they started families, or they changed their direction of their life in pretty dramatic and pretty impressive ways, and to allow them to come on here to tell their personal journey and story, from the pains to all the pleasures. Every bit of it, all along the way. There was hope, there was growth, and then one of the last questions we always ask is, are you a success? And almost without exception, every one of them will agree, yes, they are, not because of where they got to, but because they developed a healthy pursuit. Took a while, but they finally got there.
So Danny says, Danny Stark says, hello from Wayne, Indiana. Hey, Danny, welcome to the show. Jonathan says, a resolution is short-sighted unless it's actually resolute. And that's actually the point I was making when we started the show, that usually, as most people know this, this is how we started the show. As most people realize that when we set a New Year's resolution, almost 100% of them fail. And I tender the idea that it's because we set it as a temporary idea to begin with. We set it as an annual resolution that at the end of that year, we're free of it in our mind, the concept of calling it a New Year's resolution. So then I proposed the challenge of crafting a vision statement and then building a mission statement to support that vision, and then pursuing your purpose accordingly. And I gave the understanding that how to begin that process, one really effective, simple, and believe it or not, easy way to start that process is to eulogize yourself. Take yourself in your mind's eye, in your imagination, to your own funeral and write your own eulogy. What do you want said about you at the end of your days? What do you want your legacy to be talked about? How do you want it to be spoken of when you've left, when your time has passed? And that was a tool that we use in a lot of our training. So, yeah, Jonathan, as you see, Dragon likes to look for something. I don't know what he's looking for. He says something about a hidden meaning in something. I don't know. He made some allusions that we were doing some religious hidden messages or something within what we're teaching. And just to be very clear and overt about it again, both of us are professed Christians. I don't hide that a bit. But the things that we're talking about today are universally true and functional, regardless of your belief system.
Right.
And that's why this was intended to be a show where we brought that for a value to our audience. Let's see. The Mostly Useful Dad says, my legacy won't be entrenched with child abuse. Can't say this. So, Mostly Useful Dad, I am sorry for your experience. It does sound like you've been through something, and I hope that there's healing for you. I don't know you. I don't know your real name. If you want to come on the show and be a part of the live show and talk with us, you're more than welcome to. I'll gladly let you in as a live co-host. But I really am sorry for your experience. Whatever that was that happened to you, I really pray that you find healing.
Yep.
Let's see.
Thank you, Jonathan. Resolutions must be resolute.
Yeah, I like that.
I do too.
Like that. That's
I do
good.
too.
So
I have to write that down, sir.
Do any of you in the audience, whether you be on Facebook, X, Twitch, Kick, TikTok, any of the others, do any of you have anything that you'd like to bring up for discussion specifically? Mostly Useful Dad says, I wasn't really abused, but my dad hit me several times. It didn't help our relationship. Like I said, Mostly Useful Dad, my hope for you is that you find healing. As Chuck knocks our table around and causes disruption on the set over here.
I am sorry.
I really do genuinely hope that you find peace and healing. And Mostly Useful Dad, I hope to see you back on the show. I like the interaction. He says, I'm sorry for the fact that you can't see how your spanking isn't abuse. I'm sorry for the fact that you can't see how your spanking isn't abuse. But I don't really understand. I guess I agree with you. My spanking isn't abuse. You just said I don't really know. Maybe you don't realize you contradicted your thoughts from earlier with that last statement. And then let's see, we got another one. Jonathan says, I think my most religious belief is that we get in our own way. Boy, that is a fact. My goodness. And that was another thing we talked about, Jonathan, earlier in the show, was that one of the challenges that we threw out there was not to think small. When you're crafting your vision and your mission and your pursuit of your purpose, don't limit yourself to what all your experiences. Don't limit yourself to the regrets of your past. Shoot big. Use your imagination.
Right.
Don't use your past experiences. Use your imagination, because there's no limit to that. And what a man can dream, what he can conceive, he can achieve.
Right.
And I mean, you hit it on the head. That was good. Thank you, Jonathan, for all your contributions. Let's see. Dragon says he is speaking of spare the rod, spoil the child, a Christian belief. Well, like I said, it's for each person to work out their own salvation.
Mm-hmm.
Preston asked, do you think life gets better? I don't think that. I know it.
Yes.
And I can say that from some pretty traumatic experiences throughout my life. And with each of them, it is traumatic experiences are just that. They're experiences. But life as a whole has always built and become better.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily because of the trauma, but using the trauma to help me refine myself.
Right.
Jonathan says, you guys are not just speaking Christianity. I hear some esotericism. Are you Masons? Well, one of us is, but not both of us. But we are both Christians. Let's see.
And yes, I do believe that life gets better, but it gets better based on first how I perceive it and then how I learn to respond to it. And there's no other way. If I stay limited with some immaturity, maybe thinking like a late teen-year-old or early 20 when I'm not fully formed and not fully challenged and not fully overcome, then yes, I'm going to have limits in life. I don't want to have a limited life. I want to have a limitless life. And I have to learn to think differently. There's no other way.
Preston says, for me, bad things keep happening more and more. I can absolutely relate to that feeling. And I don't envy that.
No.
One of the hardest things is when you have that kind of momentum in your life. And it is a form of momentum. And we get caught in this cycle of, we have this bad time happen in our life. And then all we can see is the bad time. So we look for more bad times and we find them. And that was another challenge that we talked about earlier is with one of the other contributors today, what you seek, you will find. What you put your focus on and belief in and what you put your energy into, you'll generate it. You'll draw it to you. It will become a part of your life again and again and again. The biggest encouragement I could give to you for that is to start looking for relief, start looking for improvement, start looking for the best that you can become, Preston, because I don't know you, but I definitely know that feeling, that circumstance, that mindset of feeling like it just keeps getting worse. Right. And it just keeps happening.
You know, to initiate won't be easy. What will make things easier is when it becomes more of your norm. Think about any learning any new skill. If you ever took on a new job, as I say, a younger employee, and it was tough in the beginning, and you were worried, you didn't want to mess up, you wanted to be seen as, as capable and all those things. But in your mind, there was more, fear than productivity. But over time, it became much more productive. It's almost like another nature to you. It's kind of like that. How we see things and how we learn to respond to things. And then, of course, how we learn to share that with others. It's the same thing. It has to skill up. But once that happens, maybe life will change.
So got some fascinating comments rolling through. We've got lots and lots of messaging. Let's see. Where did it go? I lost it. So Be Metal to Pure Blood says, how can you be a Christian and a Freemason? Freemasonry is based in Jewish mysticism / witchcraft. Well, if that is true, I've never seen it. Uh, I've been a member of the Masonic fraternity here in Texas since 2015, and I have been master of the local lodge. Next year, I will serve in a position of the Grand Lodge of the state of Texas. And at every meeting I've ever been to, there's a Christian Bible in the middle of the lodge on an altar, open to the verse that applies to whatever we're doing that night. We pray before every meal to God and Jesus. We use Jesus' name to bless our food. We are, at least in my lodge and my experience, we're a Christian organization. And I've never seen anything to the contrary. So I understand what you're saying about the Kabbalah. What you're referencing is actually the Scottish Rite. And if you would educate yourself about it, you'd learn. When I would encourage you to do so, but that's not all of Masonry. And let's see, Jonathan, there are some lodge practices that are based in Kabbalah, but you could call that Christian. Well, and I mean, that's, like I said, my Bible tells me to work out my own salvation with fear and trembling, and I do so. And I don't judge you for how you do yours. So I am a Mason, and I'm not ashamed of it. It's not a secret. It's not an evil secret society. And that I've ever seen, there is no witchcraft or idolatry or satanic rituals practiced in Masonry. That would be contradictory to my core principles, convictions, and faith. And at the moment that that shows itself to be a reality, I'll remove myself from the fraternity. But I've never seen that. In fact, I do know this, that the foundation of this country was built by Masons, that our very Constitution came from the Anderson Book of Constitutions, which is a Masonic book. And I see nothing contradictory about it. So, let's see.
And if nothing else, barring any abuse or anything along those lines, those same Masonic influences in writing the Constitution of this great country has allowed for the presence of many different religions, including Christianity. And it just so happens they use the same Christian Bible, but that same document allows for the freedom of a form of worship, most of us are ignorant to. I don't know how those came. They're old. Those religions are old. Some are older than Christianity, and yet they're allowed to participate in this country. And there may be other countries that do that, but I guarantee you there are more that don't. And they have a one religion, and that's the way the rest of them have to do it in hidden places, not in America. So I think we can thank the Freemasons for that.
Let's see. Freemason. Louise says, congratulations. Thank you, Louise. Doyle Rule says, I'm learning a lot. And I'll tell you this. I mean, I'd encourage you, if you want to know about Masonry, I'll tell you anything that I know if you ask. It's one of the favorite things that I'm a part of. Third to my faith in God, my belief as a Christian, my family, that's my wife and my kids. And then Masonry is a pretty high up on my list of things that I'm very grateful to be a part of. And then let's see, Dragon says, unless you're a woman. I'm not sure what that means. Women are actually, they have their own part of Masonry. Mm-hmm. So I don't really know what you mean. Mm-hmm. And then be metal to pure blood. Did you take an oath? Well, that's a fascinating question. Yes, and much like the pledge to our flag, it's a very similar process. Let's see. They take an oath. Absolutely. And part of that commitment in that oath, as you call it, is that nothing in Masonry will contradict my faith in God, service to country, or my fellow man. That is paramount. Louise says, we think of a Father first. That gives you the skills for the talent. Then all of y'all. Eastern Star Sisters, Lady Masons. Yep, that's right, Jonathan. And where we are, where we live, there's quite a bit of activity with those ladies. Let's see. So, do any of you have any questions about anything? Yes, but Freemasons don't consider Jesus. Actually, that's a lie. I consider Jesus God, and I'm a Freemason, and all my fellow fraternity brothers are in the same boat with me. Let's see. I can't read what the name says. Noir Gravity says, in America, adult men can marry children. Historically, family values opposes reform. I'm not sure what that means. I don't know any men in America, American men, following our Constitution that can marry children. That's
legally.
It's disgusting and illegal.
That's right. And for those little whatever sects that have tried to do that, maybe in the name of religion, as many as possible have all been destroyed. You know, and that's come from lots of different faiths who justify those things, sad as it is, because children are being abused.
Noir Gravity, I'm not sure what you mean by do my homework. You said it's legal in 37 states. Do you mind explaining what you mean by legal and child marriage? Because I'm not following you. I just have to understand better. Mm-hmm. And Dragon says, yep, mostly the South, including Texas. Noir Gravity says pro-life opposes child marriage reforms. We have heard a lot of negativity in the past few years. I'm here to learn. Well, ask away, Tammy G.
Yep.
Jonathan says legal with parental consent. I see what you mean. Yeah. What is the I'm open to learn about this. Mm-hmm. With parental consent, what's the lowest age legally? Is that what we're talking about? Those 37 states? Because that's not something I've never had an interest in marrying a child, so I've never researched the lowest age with parental consent that a person can do that.
Right.
Johnson says it depends on the state. Well, that's disgusting.
Yep.
And I believe that we as a nation have a responsibility to protect those kids. Mm-hmm. So, and it also needs to be approved by a judge. Okay. Well, there's your safeguard. Hopefully that's the guardrails that protect the kids.
Yes.
Tennessee, Kentucky tried to pass a law of state to lower the legal age to 13 years for a female. That is horrifying.
Wow.
Do something about it.
Yeah.
Well, it's incumbent upon all of us to do something about it. If that's true and we learn about it, then it's our responsibility as Americans to take action first,
right,
by our ability to vote.
And may I say this too? There are lots of proposals in these annual or biannual legislative fronts. Texas has them all the time. People propose things that are outrageous and ridiculous that nobody in the great state of Texas and the free thinking people would ever go for, but they still propose them. I don't know if you know this, but there are more than just two political parties that run for president every year. There are dozens of them. And one of them, the National Socialists, you've all heard of the Green Party. They're actually political parties who promote what you are referencing about the abuse of children. Now, they don't catch traction because they don't get on TV, and they know they're not going to win. The whole point is to promote their belief systems, and they pay somebody, call them a candidate. They're really just a spokesperson, and that's what they promote. So it doesn't surprise me that they would worm their way into these legislative bodies, but they never succeed, not by law. So they have to operate in the shadows.
So Jonathan says, I like you guys. I think we disagree a lot, but you seem calm and respectful. Thank you. No, thank you, Jonathan. And yes, we always will endeavor to be calm, respectful, and considerate. Mm-hmm. And compassionate. We don't know what the audience is going through. When a person asks a question or makes a statement, it's not my right to presume they mean a certain thing, they think a certain way, or they feel a certain way. Mm-hmm. All I know how to do is ask questions and hopefully work through until we all can understand. We can continue to disagree, but I owe you respect. I don't owe you trust, but I owe you respect as a fellow human being.
Right.
So back up here, be metal to pure blood. Man, that's a long name to keep having to repeat. Be metal to pure blood says, what do you think about in England? They are making judges and police identify themselves if they are Freemasons. I wonder why. I don't really know what Freemasons want people who are religious. Well, in order to become a Mason, a person has to believe in God. Now, that's open for interpretation. It is in some parts of the world, in some places, in some lodges, they don't necessarily believe in the same God. It is not a requirement because Masonry is not a religious thing. It's a fraternity. In truth, if you look at the Masonic symbol, it is a square and compass with the G. That's the most common form of the Masonic symbol. And that G stands for two things. It stands for God, and it stands for geometry, not Gilgamesh. And geometry is the sacred science of balance. And that's a big part of the Masonic fraternity, seeking balance. That's right, Jonathan, the grand architect. So I really appreciate you guys' engagement and discussion about this. And if you ask a question that I can confidently answer, I will happily do so. Let's see. Dragon says Freemasons is a patriarchal fraternity. Well, sure, why not? I mean, it does not place men above women. It has parts for both sexes, and places equal value with different roles. So I don't know what that argument has to do with it. Jonathan says, I might call it traditional. So kind of. Okay. Me Time says, no secret societies. Well, that's cool because the Masonic fraternity is actually not a secret society. It's not. And Dragon says, a woman cannot join the Freemasons. That's a lie, Dragon. That's actually not true. Women are in Freemasonry all over the world. They're called the Eastern Stars. And then Me Time says, read the Bible. About what? What would you like me to read the Bible about, Me Time? Glad to do it. Love reading the Bible.
Yep.
Certain degrees can contain hidden knowledge, as far as I know. Well, the process of going through the Masonic degrees is a private ceremony. It's a private thing, but it is not. There's nothing evil or mystical about it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be wearing this ring. I wouldn't be a part of it. I definitely wouldn't want my kids or my family exposed to it. Let's see what else. And I think one of the most dangerous things for a society, for people in general, is to propagate ignorance, to talk about things as though they are true without really any understanding. Me Time says no spells no spells and no magic. Let's see. Be Metal to Pure Blood says Alcoholics Anonymous has a lot of Freemasonry in it. Bill W. was a Freemason. I didn't know that. So if that's true, you're teaching me something. Dragon says a woman can only join the Eastern Stars. So Freemasons is a male. It's a fraternity.
That's what a fraternity is.
A fraternity is an organization of brothers. So yeah, you're absolutely correct that a woman can't be a man.
By comparison, a sorority, you know the rest.
Yeah,
you're not an ignorant audience. So you know how that works.
A woman can only, so I don't know what to say to that, Dragon, but yeah, sure.
And there are a lot of lodges and other civic organizations that did start out as fraternities, not for any kind of discriminating purposes. If you go back to, say, the late 1800s, early 1900s, most of our working class were men. They met outside their elks and their Moose Lodge. There's all these lodges. I mean, for crying out loud, Fred Flintstone was in a lodge.
He was Mason.
He was a water buffalo.
Yeah.
I mean, but if Wilma wanted to join her own group, go for it. You know, she was cool. She had a good mind of her own.
All right. So let's see. Jay and Buck says, good afternoon, my friends. Johnson says, there are fraternity and sorority. Haha. Yeah, that's true. You got it.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
I don't think we have too many men in the junior league of our little city here. So
Thomas Cochran says, I was going to lodge, but was told if one person did not like you, they could blackball you. No, that's not actually how it works. There is a process that if you go through, a member is voted in. That is a fact. And it is a process. And it's not just one. It's got to be more than one. And the first time that if you are quote unquote blackballed, then you go through a waiting period and then you can reapply. But it's not a one and done kind of thing. And not any one single person can be the cause of you being denied membership. And then Dragon says, so a woman cannot be a Freemason, even if she wants to be. Well, she can't be a man. She can be a part of the Eastern Star, which is a Masonic appendant body, but she can't be a man. And I mean, bless your heart, Dragon. I know you understand the science.
Right. Can't change that.
And Johnson says, we are not right or wrong. We have perspectives. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
And Jonathan says, Dragon says, so break the tradition. Bimetal to pure blood, 12 steps, fourth dimension, making good men better. The AA symbol is a triangle. Well, there's lots of places that use a triangle as a symbol. And I've been in Masonry now for 11 years, and I don't know anything about the fourth dimension. I've never seen or nothing referencing that. Dragon says, break the tradition. And Jonathan says, geometry is everywhere. That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
That's exactly right.
That's right. We're on the second floor of a building. Thank you, geometry.
Yes. So there's no purpose behind breaking that tradition. There is no benefit to changing a fraternity into not a fraternity. And that's really all you're saying to do, Jonathan, is to dismantle the tradition of having something be a brotherhood. It can't be a brotherhood if you bring females into it. Dragon says, so you're admitting to being patriarchal because you feel threatened. The last thing I feel is threatened.
Yeah. Dragon, you're a blast. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Hey, I will say this as well. Aren't all of our participants today, Rob, looking for truth, their own personal truth? I don't know where you're going to find it. I don't know what your sources are. If your source of truth is in arguing with others, well, that's going to be limited because now you're trying to get their truth. Find your truth.
Yeah.
We found our sources. Our first sources start with our belief in God, our belief in Jesus, and the scriptures left behind for us to learn from. And then second, if, for example, Rob's been talking quite at length about Freemasonry. There's a lot of truths in Freemasonry that are applicable to living a better way. And then there's tons of other inspired versions of that, the books we listen to. So, to break down somebody else's source of truth is probably not going to get you what you want. If you ask them to clarify it, that's going to get you closer to what you want. So thank you for those who've asked good questions of Rob today.
And Me Time says, yes, Jesus is king. That's a fact.
It's a fact.
That is a fact. There's no way around that. And you'll get no disagreement about that from either of the hosts of this show.
That's right.
And so someone else said, I'm going to address this, B metal to pure blood again, says Hiram Abiff built Solomon's temple. That's kind of true. Hiram Abiff was a widow's son from the tribe of Naphtali, and he was part of the building of King Solomon's temple. But it was him, Solomon, and Hiram, king of Tyre, all three of them. One provided workmen, one provided sustenance, and the other provided money. So it was a triumvirate. There were three guys, and Solomon organized the whole thing. So, yeah, I mean, you're right. Hiram Abiff was involved in the building of King Solomon's temple. And Jesus is still king. Let's see. Lots of Southern Baptist pastors are Freemason. Yeah, that's a fact. That is a fact. So guys, we're going to wrap up there. We've been on here for an hour and 20 minutes, and it's been a great discussion. We really appreciate the audience, all of you who have tuned in, joined in, and been part of this discussion today. Remember, the challenge for today is to craft a vision for you, to build a mission for yourself, and then to begin to pursue your purpose.
Yes.
Let 2026 be your year, the year that you begin pursuing your purpose.
Right.
And I really can't thank you guys enough. I am so grateful for the opportunity to have these discussions with you guys, whether we agree or we disagree.
Yeah.
That's not what's material to me. What's material to me is we're all learning. And I really appreciate it. So from us here at Pursuit of Purpose, Happy New Year to you. May God bless you richly. May God bless you so much that you can't even count all the blessings. Right? That you need an extra house just to store. And then you have to start giving them away.
Yes.
Yes. So anyway, thank you guys. Thank you so much.
There is love in our heart for each and every one of you. Have a fantastic start to what we traditionally call your new year. Hey, if you want to use some of the tools, start working on your own eulogy. You know, if you want to, put it in your safe deposit box. So when your family finds it, just say, read here. But that's who you will become. And isn't that the whole intent, is to become something, a better version of ourselves every day. So thank you for tuning in, and we will be back next week for another live cast, and we want you to participate as well. It is definitely a blessing to us, even if you disagree, and that's okay.
And in 2026, you guys stay tuned. We've got some amazing interviews that we're going to do. We've already got some scheduled, some very fascinating people with amazing stories. Not only do we do these live shows here at Pursuit of Purpose, but we do interviews where we feature people who have spent their lives pursuing their purpose and living that vision and mission. So stay with us, stay tuned. Make sure you check us out on YouTube. You'll get to see all the long form interviews that we do, and check us out on any audio version that you listen to. Guys out there, y'all have a great day. Have a happy new year. Thanks. I'm Rob.
I'm Chuck.
And thanks again for joining us, and we will talk soon.